Hi everyone. I have a little bit of ranting and complaining to do, so bear with me. I just recorded a video about kind of what my plans against Eldrazi were and talking about how I think it might be okay versus colorless and blue-red, but it didn't seem very good against green-red, and then I played against green-red, and it was awful. And so I tried to stitch those two videos together, and I just ended up with this 26-minute mess. So I'm going to re-record this and try to keep it under 10 minutes. Basically, here's the thing. Against colorless and blue-red, I think that land destruction is not good. I just ran Jeskai Geist. I went 3-2 in a league, and I tried 4 Molten Rains just to see how they would work. My assumption was that they would be okay if you managed to stabilize the board, but they were really bad from behind and probably just not good enough. I think that proved true. That's something I noticed also with Blood Moon. If you manage to get it on 3 and they don't have many creatures out, it might be okay. But it's still then just okay. And if it's not just okay and you're playing it later, you're just probably too far behind because it's hard to kill their creatures 1 for 1 on every turn because they can dump sometimes more creatures out than you can actually kill. So because of that, I thought that what we really probably should be doing against the Eldrazi decks is looking at Supreme Verdict. That way, you know, if you have to utilize your removal in order to not die, you can do so, but the idea is you're able to then wrath the board and stabilize, and then maybe even wrath the board again if you have to. So I was looking at maybe running 4 verdicts in the side, and then I had forgotten that in these blue moon videos you haven't seen yet, that one of the things I looked at or I talked about thinking that it would be okay against the Eldrazi is Wormcoil Engine. Because it trades with all of their creatures, it has an immense amount of value. It stabilizes you in the way that you need to against that deck, which is your life total. And it seems perfect. And I think that this plan might be, it's a bit slow, but I think Jeskai has enough tools to slow down the Eldrazi deck. And these, you know, I think this plan could be okay. I think you want to do this more than try to disrupt their engine, their mana. You know, the last 3 Ghost Quarters, I think, where I've Ghost Quartered an Eldrazi Temple, they just played another one. It's not like Tron where they only run one. So, you know, I don't think that the mana plan is so great. I think you just want to try to get as much efficient removal as you can, and if you can do this, that's the plan. Verdict meaning. Okay, so the other thing is there's a green-red Eldrazi deck, and it runs a card called Worldbreaker. And I actually think the green-red Eldrazi deck might be the best. Hold on, I'll pull it up. Okay, here it is. So the thing is, you still have some aggressive draws against this deck. They can still go like Eldrazi Temple, endless one, endless one, endless one, or just endless one, and then smash you for 8 by playing a Thought-Knot Seer the next turn. So you have to fight aggressive draws against this deck. Not only do you have to fight aggressive draws, you have to fight the graveyard, because this thing is insane, and I will show you guys a screenshot. So this was my game against Red-Green Eldrazi, and I believe in this particular game, I had an early Geist, which he killed with Kozilek's Return. And he had a World Break. He managed to get a World Breaker and a Reality Smasher out, and I verdicted. So I was thinking things were okay. I managed to get a Geist and a Restoration Angel in play, and I was like, all right, I think we're going to win this game. He drew a World Breaker and got this amazing 3-for-1. He ended up killing my Sacred Foundry with its trigger, and he got Kozilek's Return and killed my Geist and my Restoration Angel. So he has, I'm down a land, I'm down a Restoration Angel, I'm down a Geist Saint Draft, and he has a 5/7. In a later game, or the second game, I think he cast World Breaker 4 times. I think it was 4 times. 2 were out of his hand. I believe I verdicted them away. This is after I was already like fighting through all of his other creatures. Then he had a Flames in play where he was just sacrificing a land, getting a World Breaker back, casting it, blowing up one of my lands, and he did it again. So not only do you have to fight the graveyard against this deck, but you also have to fight Ayavugan. So even if you can do all of those things, then they can still start tutoring up creatures at the end game. So not only that, but Worldbreaker makes Batterskull and Wormcoil Engine look stupid. So yeah, this deck's nuts. And I don't have a good plan for what to do against Eldrazi. It's there's not even one deck to fight against. You know, you have the really aggressive one in colorless, the sort of slightly more mid-rangey one in green-red, or rather blue-red, and then you have the one that has the strongest late game in red-green, which all of these decks still have an amazing early game. So it's ridiculous, and I'm actually, for the first time that I can think of, feeling a little bit sad and depressed about the format. Maybe I might spend some time playing Legacy. The thing is that when it was Amulet Bloom, the deck still, it was ridiculous, but it was still sometimes beatable, and you could attack that deck like by preventing their searching. You had like one way that you could attack that deck and really hurt them. That's not the case with these Eldrazi decks. The other thing is that was just one deck. This is a whole archetype. There's 3 Eldrazi decks. And right now Modern Nexus is putting the Eldrazi decks between 40 and 50% of the format. And I know that a lot of that's Magic Online, and you know, the GPs aren't necessarily going to be as bad, but I mean, heck, even if you're, you know, I know like 5 guys going to GP Bologna right now, and I think 3 of them are on Eldrazi. Even if it's just 20% of the field, which would still be absolutely insane, and maybe it won't be that much, I don't want to go to the GP and face 1 in every 5 decks Eldrazi and play against it 3 or 4 times. In fact, I'm thinking I might not even go to the GP anymore. One of my friends who I was looking forward to, I call him a friend, he's more like a Magic friend, and you know who you are. I just don't want to mention his name without his permission, but he was going to go. Couldn't figure out what to play. Did a bunch of... He's also known for playing Geist. Did a bunch of testing. Realized that what I'm realizing now, which is there's just really no good way to beat all of these decks. And decided not to go. That's really disappointing. I was looking forward to like collaborating. We were going to, you know, kind of figure out what Jeskai list we were going to play together. He's not going. And now I might not go. And I, you know, if my friends want to go, Errol or George, if you guys still want to go, like, I may go, but I may just see if I can get a refund on my VIP pass and just take the $40 Play Unlimited Constructed events. And then I'll just take Geist and I'll take whatever decks I want, and I'll just have fun playing side events and not have to feel stressed about, you know, not doing well at a GP. Because, you know, I'm a competitive person, and Magic's a game. It's a game I enjoy, but I really enjoy the, you know, mentally competitive nature of it. And when you're trying to be mentally competitive with something, nothing kind of feels worse than, oh, it doesn't matter how much preparation I've had, the deck you're playing is just busted, and, you know, I'm not going to be able to beat you with my mind or beat you with my practice or anything. You're just... This doesn't sound fun. Playing against the deck is... You know, I think playing against the Artifact Control deck is worse. Lantern Control, I hate playing against that deck. But it really feels unfair playing against some of these Eldrazi decks. I've done it again with Blue Moon. I've done it with Jeskai Kiki. You're going to see all this. They haven't all been on video. But there are some that have been on video. And I've done it with Geist. And, you know, maybe if it was just colorless and blue-red, there's something in a strategy like these cards that might have a chance. But if it's also going to be the other deck, then there's just too much to try to fight against. And the other deck is, I think it's the best one. It just has so many different axes where it's doing powerful things. I already said them, you know, it's got a strong early game, a really strong mid game, and also a really strong late game. It can recur a 5/7 out of the graveyard, and it can Eye of Ugin. So, also another card I want to gripe about when I'm complaining. I played against, in the first round of this league, which I did a 5-round league with Geist, which I'm going to post, and where I went 3-2, and both losses were against Eldrazi. But this next one, I don't even want to finish the league. I'm 0-3 right now. The first loss I had was against Green-White Hate Bears, which it's fine, right? Like, the first game, they managed to... I didn't have a bunch of removal, and my mana was structured such in a way that they were able to get 2 Leonin Arbiters into play, and then Ghost Quarter me like 2 or 3 times, and I had no lands, or I had like 1 land, so that happens. But the second game, I did keep an awkward hand. I didn't have any blue mana. I had a Serum Visions, but I had like a Valorous Stance and a Path to Exile and maybe a Bolt, and I had white and red lands. So it was kind of weird, but I kept it. The issue is I also got choked. In addition to getting some of my lands blown up in the way that Hate Bears and or Death and Taxes will do, I got choked, and I feel like choke is an incredibly unfair card. You know, I can understand people disliking Blood Moon, but I do feel like Blood Moon sort of, you know, keeps people honest when it comes to their mana bases, and everybody has the option to run a bunch of fetches to fetch out basics. But choke just hates on a single color. And even if you were to try to even the score by reprinting Acid Rain, which if you don't know what that is, I think it's 3 in a blue or 2 in a blue. I actually think it's 3 in a blue. It's 3 in a blue, destroy all forests. Is that the kind of Magic that you want to play? I don't think so. That doesn't sound fun. Those were the mistakes made, you know, in Magic's past. And blue is nowhere near right now like this oppressive color where you need to have a card like Choke legal. I think Choke should just be banned purely on principle. Same with Boil. You know, the only way to play around Choke is to not play islands, not play a color. I mean, you can play Sulphur Falls and Celestial Colonnades that don't get hit by Choke, and sometimes that works out, but, you know, that's just luck. It's just it's a terrible card to have in Modern. So yeah, am I going to the GP? I don't know. Do I think Modern is in a great place right now? You know, for the first time, I really don't think it is. The deck is extremely linear, which I'm okay with, because I feel like I can build Jeskai in a way to beat that. I feel like the mid-range green-black decks can structure their deck in a way to beat that. But if the rest of the field, if the rest of Modern is going to be 30, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50% Eldrazi decks that just crush these mid-range decks, just the more fair decks, then that doesn't sound like a good format. So, and I know it's not going to be forever, right? Obviously, the deck is going to get banned. It is fundamentally breaking the rules of Magic. It's probably not going to get banned before the GP, and I don't know that it should. But, you know, maybe if I go to the GP, I'll play in the side event. If I go to the GP, maybe I won't go at all. I don't know. Undecided at this point. And as far as Modern goes, making more Modern videos, I think I may switch to Legacy for a bit. I need to learn Legacy. I need to improve at that format. Because right now what I don't want to do is I don't want to keep playing against Eldrazi 2 to 3 times in a league and getting my face smashed in. And I don't want to keep playing against them and feeling like even the plan I have is terrible. You know, when there was other busted decks in the format like Pod, it was just a deck. We had a plan and we could actually reasonably beat that deck. Against Bloom, I had a plan. You know, I played against that deck like 20-something times, and I had a 55% win rate. And a lot of that's probably because there's just a lot of unskilled pilots with the deck. But still, the Eldrazi deck, it's not just a deck. It's 3 decks, and there could be more. There's actually 4 decks if you count Black, and there's no one way for me to attack those decks. So, anyway, okay, I'm done ranting. Is the sky falling in Modern? Maybe a little. I can't wait for this deck, the Eldrazi decks, to get banned. It's not fun. But maybe we get to play some sweet Legacy. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching. Sorry, by the way, sorry to be so like negative and depressing about the format, but I was really hoping to have an awesome answer for you guys. I really thought that like Wraths and Wurmcoil Engines against the colorless and blue-red might get us there. or at least might make it not so miserable. Give us a chance. But the red-green version just laughs at this plan. So anyway, draw well, smash face, and good luck, guys. See you soon.